What is an anemone? Well, it's a flower. Wouldn't you know it? And this film has, powerhouse, Oscar-winning actor Daniel Day-Lewis, also stars Sean Bean. His character, the character that Daniel Day-Lewis plays, Ray, is troubled, lives in a cabin in the woods, and Sean Bean, who plays Jem, his brother, is trying to reach out to him. He has a son that feels was abandoned. There's a reason that Ray, Daniel Day-Lewis's character, has gone off and cut himself off from the world based on a tragic moment during his military career. I won't go into detail. And Samantha Morton plays his ex wife, lover, Nessa, who's been trying to reach out to him for years. This is a powerhouse drama where most of the things that happen story-wise, no reveals here, most of the best things in the story happened off screen, right? And characters, for example, Ray, will tell stories of things that one might have shown if this story were told differently. But I have to say, there's a story that Ray Stoker, that Daniel Day-Lewis, they say a great actor can read the phone book and you're riveted. And while this movie is too slow, too long, it does have its moments. There's a story that Daniel Day-Lewis's character tells where he's getting revenge on someone who wronged him as a young man, and talks about taking a shit on this person's face. He goes into graphic detail. It's riveting, tragic, funny. The audience I saw, and I was shocked. I saw this movie in the afternoon and it was almost packed crowd. There weren't very few showings of this movie. This movie is in limited release currently, opening wide soon. But this story had people laughing uncomfortably. And that's not the only story that's told. My problems with this movie are, one, the slow nature of it. We see Ray in his cabin in the woods going through rituals. It's kind of boring. Who is he? Why is he there? Who is Sean Bean's character? Well, he's his brother. Things are revealed slowly, like unpeeling an onion. The layers come off. We do see Ray's son, Brian, played by Samuel Bottomley, and he is tortured by, why did my father leave the family? It all comes to a dramatic head, but I'm in two minds about this movie. It's not for everybody right now. It's not for everybody. Most people will say this movie's too boring. I will say, for me, it really stuck the landing based on the emotional core. And I think some of the weaknesses of the film are the most insane, crazy story moments. It felt like a play in some ways, all happened off screen. They're in your imagination. Now, Daniel Day-Lewis is amazing actor. And this movie is directed by Ronan Day-Lewis, who has to be his son.
It is his son.
So his son directed the movie, and Daniel Day-Lewis and his son also wrote the story. Lucky to have, his son is 27, and he did this. Lucky your dad's like an Oscar-winning actor. But I do think the father-son is at the heart of this film. And in the end, I give it a bare recommendation, but a warning. If you don't like movies that are slow burns or just drama, not for you. I won't recommend it. Put it aside. But you've got powerful actors, Daniel Day-Lewis, Sean Bean, Samantha Morton. And for that, it gets a recommend from me. Alan, what did you think?
Yeah, you must have had wine and cigars afterwards. This movie is so pretentious. Uh, Look, knowing that Daniel Day-Lewis wrote it and knowing that his son directed it, it
Well,
made me think.
co-wrote it.
Co-wrote it. Okay, everything you said before. But the point is who. This is a question I'm always asked or ask when I'm doing improv, because it's this idea of art. Who is art for? Is it for the artist or is it for the audience? And in the case of um,
Anemone.
Anemone, this movie is for the artist. Uh, you know, look, I'm sure Daniel Day-Lewis, it is a play in the sense that Daniel Day-Lewis had an idea. Him and his son had an idea about a father who left the family because of something he did, of a sin he had done, and now the son is committing the same sins. So the son is not that far off the block, and now it's kind of like, does the father come back to recorrect the path of the son, or does the father just continue to live in anonymity in the middle of the forest for his crimes? That's an interesting idea. And you write the story, and look, I don't know Daniel Day-Lewis as a person, but I would imagine that he is an actor's actor. He is a very thoughtful and philosophical person. And when the idea came to mind, he decided, okay, I'll come out of retirement. I'll write this with my son. I'll let my son direct it. I'll get Sean Bean and Samantha Morton to be in here with me, and Brad Pitt to help me produce it. And we'll do this thing. And the problem is this story plays for the artist but doesn't play for the audience, and I think that's why most people find it boring. I found it boring. Another thing that is a negative against this, for no fault of its own, is the accents are a little bit heavy, and so I'm like, what did he say? What?
Yeah, same.
So I'm finding myself lost in these stories. You mentioned it. Other movies would have filmed a backstory, a flashback, but in here it's about Daniel Day-Lewis telling a story, a very long story. He does it twice. I was more in tune with the second long story than I was with the first long story. And then there's a fantastical element at the end. And so this is an art film in every sense of the word. If you're a big fan of art films and like things that are 5 or 6 levels above the normal human being, this movie will probably do you well. Not for me. I can't recommend it unless I know you as a guy who's so pretentious about films that you'll like something like this. But again, it was not made for audiences. It was made for the artist.
Well, I will push back a bit. There is a really weird moment near the end of the film.
There are a lot of weird moments.
A bizarre. I like stuff like that. I like a David Lynch weirdness when it kind of challenges you. I'm a fan of Eraserhead. What does that tell you about me? Okay, so I like weird stuff. And part of my problem with, say, a mainstream movie like Dune Part 1 and Part 2, I think suffers. I've one critique of that movie, it didn't get weird enough, especially with stuff involving the spice. It could have gotten weird. I think David Lynch did that better. Anyways, I like weird stuff. I like stuff that challenges. What I don't like is things that are, I've seen that movie 100 times before. I've seen that movie. I would call it a meh, M-E-H, meh-V. Seen it, been there, done that. Nothing new, contributes nothing to the form. I like a movie that pushes boundaries and gets weird. And so if you're up for that, and not everyone is, 90% of people who go to movies aren't up for that kind of film. Mm-hmm. I like it. So yeah, thank you, Nerd Cookies. I think we had that discussion about we need more weirdness in David Lynch weirdness in Dune. I hope we see it in Dune Part 3, although everything I hear about Dune Part 3 doesn't sound good to me. I saw your latest video. Anyways, back to Anemone. In the end, a recommendation with a warning. And if you like weird stuff and you like powerhouse acting and drama and you want a break from typical cliche stuff, see Anemone.